Amazon has sold more than 426 items per second. And last year, 96% of consumers said that they had purchased something from Amazon. How did they do this? Well, they utilized the power of others to market and sell for them. And that's what I talk about in my book, Amazon's Dirty Little Secrets. Now, in the power formula, this is an acronym where the P stands for plenty of traffic. The O stands for offer something for free. W is win their trust. E is an engaging experience. And R is to request an action. Now, Amazon is an absolute master at this. They are in the press all of the time. They put out a press release about their new Fire phone. And people were like, hey, you can tell that phone's from Amazon because as soon as you hang up, it recommends somebody else that you might want to call. Another part of winning people's trust is a concept known as social proof. Now, you might understand social proof as something that, look back at where you were when you were a kid and your mother would ask you the question, well, just because all your friends are jumping off of a bridge, would you do it? And the answer is probably, yeah, if all my friends were doing it, I probably would. Now let me give you an example of what a great product description might be. I've got this friend who knows this old cowboy up in Wyoming, and every year he goes and he buys himself a brand new cowboy hat. And he turns around and he sells his old hat on the internet. Now you might be thinking, what's a used cowboy hat worth on the internet? Not much. You know, the thing's dirty and beat up. You know, maybe $5 somebody would buy it. But this guy goes in there and he writes these descriptions about all the experiences that he's had while wearing that cowboy hat. He talks about how, you know, I was crossing this river on my horse one day and the wind came up and it blew that hat off my head and it went floating down the river and I had to go down there and I grabbed that hat and I looked up and there on the other side of the bank was this grizzly bear. He was selling an experience. And as a result of that, he sold that used cowboy hat for many times what he could go and buy himself a brand new hat for. Now when it comes to requesting an action, I've got a story that I like to tell. And this was a friend of mine, his name's Mark, and he had a young family. He was up in the San Francisco Bay Area, and he took them out to dinner to a fairly new restaurant. And when he got there, the waiter came up and said, "Can I get you anything?" And Mark looks at him and says, "Yeah, could I get a booster chair?" And the waiter kind of looks at him funny and is like, "Well, I don't know that we've got that. We've got Heineken, we've got Corona, we've got Budweiser." And Mark's like, No, I want a booster chair for my kid." Well, the waiter was kind of like, "Oh, okay, sorry about that." So he went and he got a booster chair. And in the meantime, Mark had the menu in front of him, and he took a pen out, and underneath all of the beers he wrote down, "Booster Chair Ale," and he put a couple umlauts over the booster. $7.50. Obviously it was the premium beer at this establishment. And he showed it to the waiter, and they both had a good laugh about that. Well, Mark came back a couple weeks later to the restaurant. This time he was by himself, but the waiter immediately recognized him, and he comes up and he's like, You! And Mark's like, What did I do?" And the guy's like, "You came in here a couple weeks ago, and we had just opened up, and that night the owner grabbed one of the menus in order to get it duplicated for us to be utilizing here. And he happened to grab the one that you wrote Booster Chair Ale on, and everybody's coming in here and wanting to order Booster Chair Ale." Well, that is the absolute perfect time that they actually could have gone in there and private labeled a beer called Booster Chair Ale. People were requesting an action. They needed to take advantage of it. That, again, is the kind of thing that you need to do. Listen to your customers. If they're requesting something, provide it to them. Thank you for your time.